Charlotte, hi. You write that you're a perfectionist and effectively you're afraid of studies. And I looked at some of your other questions. You've got a lot of anger. Basically, you're needy. And if I understand your question is, what should I do? So the first thing about perfectionism is you have to understand why we become perfectionists. And basically all emotional issues all come from the same place, and that is too much fear, right? We basically have two emotions: love, which is a desire for something, and fear, which is a desire from something. So I think this thing is going to be good for me, I have a love for it. I think this thing is going to be bad for me, I have a fear from it. And so a good example is, let's say you have a dog chasing you, you run away. And the same thing is in life, is that when we fear criticism, what happens is we become very sensitive to perfectionism, because we think we have to, basically one of the big jobs of the brain is to increase pleasure and decrease pain. And one of the things that are painful to us is anxiety. So ironically, it's the very anxiety that causes the brain to try to decrease it. But the brain has to figure out a way to decrease it. So if your anxiety is over criticism, which, by the way, you mentioned you're Asian, a lot of Asians have a very harsh disciplinary approach. So what happens is you begin to fear all adults or all authority figures, and you do your best to please them. You're a perfectionist. It might work for a little bit. In other words, it can work to avert the criticism, but it can't work in life, because in life ultimately is about love. You can't be happy in fear. You can only be happy in love. But there's a third column, right? There's love, it's called the right side, and fear is called the left side. But there's also a center, and the center is the mind. The mind connects to God. So basically you could either be using your emotions, what I love and what I fear, to control my mind, or I can use my mind to control my emotions. Now you can understand that the mind in charge is a lot better than the emotions in charge. And there's only one way to do this. There's no other way. This is my study, Jewish mysticism. And if you take my advice, which may seem difficult, and it is a little difficult, it will save you forever. And that is, there are only two possibilities in life. One, life is about me. The other is life is about God. Those are the only two possibilities. And if life is about you, then it's, what do I love? What will make me happy? And what do I fear? What will prevent me from shame or pain? But there's another possibility, because you don't want to live the rest of your life like that. And that is, I'm a creation of the Creator. It's obvious that this universe and everything, there are too many details, or even within our own body, to just magically form. It's a creation by God. My job is to fulfill the will of God. Now, I'm going to link you to an article, which is very, very brief, but gives you enough information on how to fulfill the will of God. And if that's your focus in life, you won't have any problems, because the will of God, which in a way boils down to goodness and kindness, is easy. And you can always do it. All the other things are ridiculous. The lusts and the desires, you can never have enough. And the fear and anxiety, it's always too much. So you have a choice, which is either go beyond yourself into a higher calling, which you'll be a blessing to others and feel good about yourself, or maintain this rat race where basically you're never good enough and it's never enough.